Hello. Welcome back to my combo classroom where it's very dark out, but you're not getting much darkness here because we have decided to do a little campfire stream. Now we're going to cook a few items on this campfire and use it to appreciate as a little world enhancer. As a reminder, do not copy any fire stuff. When I do this, it's safe. I got a hose over there and stuff. So there's a metal pit it's in. So do not copy any fire antics, but it is a little fun to have one of those going as a little backdrop while I share a few new topics I wanted to discuss. Partially little updates about the channel and little more personal or philosophical things. But I also, near the end of this stream, will go into a little refresher or some new facts as well about Fibonacci numbers as a sort of prequel to a different thing about Fibonacci numbers that is in the next main combo class episode that I'm finishing up now and should hopefully be out tomorrow sometime. And since that episode is Fibonacci centric, I want to give a little refresher about some cool traits about those in general, as well as a few ways of looking at them you have possibly not seen yet. Now, my chat is a little far from where I am right now, so I'm going to have to check the chat sporadically, which I am going to do in a moment. And before I do that, I'm going to put something in this fire that will be edible for me later. I don't think I'll make you watch me eat this stuff, but I am going to cook a thing or two throughout this stream. And one of those thing or twos is I looked around for what fruits I had, because sometimes it's nice to skewer a fruit on a stick or go for this alternate method we're about to do, to cook a nice fruit while you got your flames. Most fruits, when you cook them, get a pie-like taste without even needing that crust or sugar or, external non-fruit-based sugar. So what we got here is a nectarine. And what I've found is that when you take certain fruits like this, nectarines I know are really good, and you wrap them in foil, and you toss them into something like an oven or a campfire, and you maybe turn them a couple times and leave them there a while, they become like a delicious little pie bomb. Like this little circular, packed with flavor pie bomb. So, the flavor as if I made a nectarine pie, practically. So that's the first thing I had to toss as we get started. I'm going to cook another little thing closer to the end of the stream. For now, let me just tend to this a little bit, and we can add another log if we need later. Let me take a peek at all of our people in the chat, because although this is a later stream than usual, and many combo lords may be joining this assembly or whatever in the future, I do appreciate having all of you here who are able to make it in real time. I love you all. Now, let's see. Somebody says, is it a reference to roasting fruit in something? I don't even know what those acronyms are for, necessarily. So you'd have to clarify the acronyms, so I don't think it's a reference to them. And let's see. Somebody asked statistical probability of a character to wear the same jacket, and that's going to be hard to know without the jacket distribution in the given area. Now, one thing that I wanted to make an announcement about real quick, and although the fire is pretty cool, I have to be pretty close to the fire to see me, so I'm going to turn up the brightness on our computer a little bit so we can see me a little clearer next to the fire. Now, one thing I wanted to make an announcement about, I filmed a little bonus video with my main camera guy Carlo today that I might put out about this, but I wanted to make an announcement here for all my combo lords too. This is going to sound a little annoyingly like a sales pitch, but I have to mention it, is that YouTube offered me a ridiculously good bonus. They offered me $500 if I set up the thing called memberships on here. So you can keep listening even if you don't plan on signing up for anything. I don't expect people to necessarily sign up or anything, but I'm going to turn on that thing called memberships on this channel. Partially because YouTube is going to give me $500 for turning it on, which is huge for me. And that almost doubles next month's income. So I can't not turn that on. I was holding off on putting the memberships thing on the channel for people who do want to find a way to support it and get bonus content, because I do that on Patreon already. I'll find a way to get the cooler content that I share on Patreon able to share both places for people who want to be a member on YouTube instead. So to anyone who supports on Patreon or doesn't because they don't like using external things, but wants to consider helping with Combo Class, there is going to be this thing called memberships going on. I'm also going to put a really cheap one, because if a lot of people sign up for it, I think if like 30 or more people sign up for it, I get an additional bonus from YouTube. So consider signing up for like $1 for just a few months, because that might even, you know, triple next month's income instead of doubling it. But for some reason, YouTube's offering that to some random channels like me. I got 2 emails because I have 2 channels. The one for this channel, because this channel has more subscribers, I guess, is like, we'll give you a bonus to start the memberships. And then the email they sent at the exact same time to my other Combo Class channel is just like, hey, why don't you set up memberships, with no mention of a bonus for that channel. So just letting people know, like somebody said, let hustlers hustle. I have hustled many ways and things in the past, and occasionally I'll have to do it with what I consider my art here. My art is not my favorite thing to hustle out of all the things, but we got to do it once in a while because, you know, having a budget for this does let me hire people throughout the week to help me with filming and editing and make sure that we can continue having at least as much content as we have, and that we can make the content even better so that we can have at least this amount of content and at least as good or even better of content. So also thanks to the people who are already supporting on Patreon. Their names are in the description. I'll let people know when I set up the membership thing. I just had to let people know. Anyway, done with that boring part. I'll make a more official announcement when it's actually up. But other things I wanted to mention. We're almost at 150,000 on this channel, which is really crazy. This channel's still less than a year old. Just mind-blowing to me. So that's really cool. I appreciate everybody who's been enjoying the videos. I've been having fun putting out, although my main goal is the Combo Class episodes, next one coming probably tomorrow, I have been having fun putting out just like random little math things that are on my mind, either in streams or bonus videos. And they usually, even though they don't always get a ton of views, because some of them, I almost self-sabotage some of them by like giving them a not that catchy title or thumbnail, because it's like a topic that I think that I don't mind if people miss it, because I might explain it in an even better form in the future on the main Combo Class channel. So not all the ones on here get that many views because they're pretty casually done. Like the last one I did about dice, I just filmed on this computer myself in 20 minutes. And however, although they don't get a crazy amount of views, they have a really, really good like ratio. Some of them are 100% likes, which is just like really weird and remarkable for a YouTube video. Especially one where it's like very casually done and I run my mouth and stuff. So that's really amazing. Probably cursing it now, probably going to send some annoying fan to try and go dislike all the videos. Go ahead, try your best. But I just wanted to say that's really cool when I went through and noticed that some of the random videos that I've put on here are like 200 likes, 0 dislikes or something. And that is just remarkable and really cool. That's just as cool as the fact that there's just like almost 150,000 subscribers here. So we're going to continue having really fun stuff on this channel. We are going to have more experiments on this channel. So there's going to be field trips to nature. There's going to be random science experiments. There are going to be things about philosophy. There are going to be bits of music I create. Those things that I create are going to come out on this channel because this is sort of my bonus playground. And if you ever get bored of that, you know, you can always only have your notifications on for my main Combo Class channel and keep this one in the periphery if you don't have that much time. In a way, that is how I see the content too, is that I would love if somebody has time to watch all the content on both of my channels, but some people are busy. And if you're really busy and don't have time to watch all the content on both channels, at least watch all the content on the other channel, on the Combo Class channel. Those are the best episodes. The ones on here are just as fun to make, though, because it's just me being more casual and less edited. Now, somebody said, I I should wait to make the membership on the other channel till they pay me to make that one too. Trust me, I did think that. I don't know if they're going to continue this offer. It might be a one-time thing. They might have only just like once had this extra budget to give certain creators. That's sort of how it works with YouTube sometimes. They're sometimes generous with sharing the extra budget, but then it's gone, and it's not always a guarantee. So I will wait to put it on the other channel just in case they give me a membership on the other one too. If anyone from YouTube's listening, please pay me. I'm happy to follow your rules to the mostly, and I love YouTube. I am happy to make videos for YouTube forever. So please pay me and help me. Now, not you folks. You guys can do it if you have the budget. If you can't, you can just keep watching. And that was one little announcement. Another thing I wanted to note about this channel sometimes containing more experimental things is it will sometimes veer more toward subjective rather than objective. On the Combo Class channel, although of course I'll have opinions mixed in, because part of it is about ways in which I think education should be done differently, and that is going to have to reference ways in which education is currently, in my opinion, done poorly. So there's going to be opinions, but this channel could veer a little more toward the subjective than objective. And I wanted to note something funny, which is that some people are like, stay away from things like politics and religion and stuff like that. And I get that those can alienate people. Sometimes I can't help but run my mouth about my opinions, but my goal isn't to usually, pretty rare, I will mention things like politics or religion or stuff. But then some people will tie the most basic, normal human things into claiming that I'm talking about a religious or political thing when I'm just talking about something normal about life. One example of that is flat earth stuff, where there's a few viewers who I genuinely think believe the earth's flat. They've left comments that I know some people are sort of just doing that like to look cool or be funny or whatever. But there's a few viewers who I genuinely, based on the comments they've left, I think they believe the earth is flat. And I'm not going to debate them in comments. If any of them happen to be listening, I would actually be happy to have you on the show and, schedule an hour where we debate on person. I'll have you call in or something. But it's not worth debating in a comment because it's such a trivial thing to spend time debating. Is the earth more spherical or more flat? Has been proven over millennia, and it's a myth that there was even a recent period of history where it was commonly believed. Some people think, oh, we thought the earth was flat until recently there was this thing with Confucius or whatever, or with, who's the dude with the C, with the church? You guys know who I mean. With various myths about modern history of how it came about, because really, ancient societies have known for thousands and thousands of years that the Earth's round. Easy to prove. And it's not a perfect sphere, it's an oblate spheroid, and we're not 100% sure about that, because science doesn't say 100% sure about things, because it's all about how tight over time can you get that 99.99 how many nines percent. It's all about tightening your sureness about different hypotheses. And so there's so many nines after the 99 point on how many percent sure. Scientists have been sure for many, many years that the Earth is more of a sphere than flat, that it's just really a waste of time to debate it. And I know people think there's these big grandiose conspiracy theories, but you gotta remember, a conspiracy theory needs a motive. Who's profiting off this weird myth that the Earth's flat? So, we'll prove it someday. It'll be very easy to prove the Earth's round. It's a pretty trivial thing. So if I say the Earth's round, stuff like that is going to come up. Now, going a little further, some people don't like if I say the Earth's old because they believe a certain text or whatever. That nothing wrong with if people believe texts metaphorically or stuff, but some people believe certain texts so literally they think the Earth is 6,000 to 7,000 years old. But this is a science channel. This isn't just a math channel. This is an education channel that includes science. I'm not going to act like people who think the Earth is 6,000 to 7,000 years old get an equal voice or an equal representation. As a human and on their other opinions, they get an equal voice. But if we're talking about the shape of the Earth, somebody who thinks there's some grandiose conspiracy should not be given half of the airtime because it's just not helping things. It's it's not only silly, but it makes people distrust science, and that leads to whole bad rabbit holes. And so, on this channel, we are going to talk about the Earth's old and the Earth's round. I'm sorry if some people, for some reason, find that offensive to a certain religion or whatever. Similarly, although I won't talk about politics, I will say I don't think it should be a political issue. It's your choice if you want to make this political. I have friends who are gay. I have friends who are trans. I have friends who are black. If you have an issue with a certain group of people, this is probably not the channel for you either. Because that to me is not a political issue, that any human, that gender or race or stuff like that is not a problematic or definitive trait of a person. So if you disagree with human beliefs like that like humans should be treated equally and that the Earth's round, I'm sorry, this isn't the channel for you. But you can still watch my combo class channel. Maybe you'll find that a little more objective rather than subjective, and maybe you'll be able to just run with that. But every math fact I say is also just 99 point some amount of 9% true, and we call them true when we believe a proof has confirmed something fully. But that's all for that. What I will note is that if you ever get bored of what you think is my opinions, remember that around here, my opinions center around nature is cool, all people can be appreciated, and I like having fun with math and nature and stuff. So if you dislike the opinions, think about why for a minute, and if you like your conclusion about why you dislike my opinions, then maybe just watch the other channel. Now, some people note it's pretty late for them. It is 10:35 for me right now, which does mean we're not going to do a really late stream. I don't know if I'm going to add more logs. Once these ones burn out, we might be done. Because, oh, speaking of which, I should turn the fruit that I put in there. Let me find something to turn the fruit with. Now, we're not going to go too late because I don't want to be a nuisance on the neighborhood. I am already the one who floods the neighborhood with bubbles, occasional smoke, and frequent loud math ranting. So I'll try and keep the loud math ranting usually later, or not as late, earlier in the day, a time when I won't bother them quite as much. Yep. Someday there will be an arc of combo class where I'm going to move out to the woods, and then we're going to be able to make noise at any time, whenever it makes sense. Could be grade -3. I don't know. One of these grades, you're going to see me out there in the woods. Now, let's see. Somebody noted it's 1:43 here, and somebody else said, how are you 9 minutes ahead? That is weird. I don't think it's actually 1:43 there. I don't think it's 1:43 anywhere right now, according to the time zones. They all have the same minute, even though if they have different hours. Times, of course, are funny, and of course, we appreciate time. We have a large number of clocks. We have more than ever. I think we're past 50 stopped clocks we have here. For any new viewers, you don't think you can see that in the background, but just to get a little glimpse, we are fans of clocks, so we appreciate our time, Now, somebody noted they would love if somebody flooded their neighborhood with bubbles, and I bet the kids like it. There's some kids who play on a trampoline in the neighbor's yard sometimes. I bet when I flood their yard with bubbles, they get hyped. But the problem is that the wind carries the bubbles in a way that when I have the bubble machine on, I'll be waiting for the wind to settle for a great moment, because then the bubbles will fill the classroom and it'll look like this realm of bubbles. But sometimes I'll be waiting with a camera person with the bubble machine on for a long time while the wind's acting up. and they're just like flying little tunnels of bubbles random directions and not filling the screen of the camera or the classroom. So we're just like waiting for the wind to die down. And so we'll be running the bubble machine for like 10 minutes and waiting. And sometimes the air current floods like right over a fence and like down somebody's like side passage of their yard or whatever. And there's like a little like narrowish hallway over there between houses that I imagine the bubbles seem to like flood in a tunnel all down there sometimes with the wind. And there's probably someone once in a while who's like going out for a smoke break, like la-di-da-di-da, and just like blasted in the face with bubbles down that little corridor. So sorry to that person if you exist. Now, the bubbles are not the worst of the ways certain neighbors are probably annoyed at me. However, my main neighbors, the ones, there's like people in apartments and stuff who move in and out, but the main neighbors who have lived here a while, on both sides, I have alliances with. You got to make alliances with your neighbors. See, even if I seem to hate on some old holy texts, I believe certain things like loving your neighbors. Now, me and my neighbors actually surprisingly get along. I hope they still don't hate me even as I've upped the math ranting over the past few months. All right. So, oh yeah, the natural log of fire. That's a good way to express this. We could study natural logs sometime. In fact, there are two, you may even notice that this log was more of like a fire startery log that I think had some type of thing on it. And this log is just a straight up chunk of wood. And that this is a natural log of fire. Like the LN thing in the comments in math is called natural log. And that one is a less natural log. That's like a log 10 of fire because it was made by humans. So it's like a log base 10 of fire down there. Someone says alliances makes it seem like I'm about to go to war with them. What? No, we're not going to go to war with any other neighbors. The alliances just mean that we have each other's backs. The alliance is just like you put up with each other's bad parts and you like each other's good parts and you have an alliance. You got each other's back. So, like, you know how you got an alliance with your friends and hopefully with your family and stuff, you know? Try and get an alliance with your neighbors, too. And not everyone has an alliance with their family, either. So that's a nice one, too. Not everyone can have. Everyone fights with their family sometimes, but I do have an alliance with my family. Now, I'm not going to go to war with them, but like I've said, you don't want to be my first enemy. I'm good at not burning bridges. I've gotten in a lot of arguments in my life, but I've pretty much settled all of them, and I don't really have any enemies. Apart from, I don't know if you can call it an enemy if you dislike someone who doesn't even know you, because the people I dislike are people who are like really rich and polluting the planet and own massive corporations and stuff. So I don't know if you can call those my enemies if they're not even aware of me. So if I ever had an enemy, it would probably be, you know, some really rich person polluting the planet with a company or something. It's not going to be one of my neighbors. So, somebody mentioned having the clock 8 minutes ahead. Actually, my parents used to do this really weird thing where they had this tradition based on one time when the clock had stopped, where they always kept the clock like some amount of hours and some amount of minutes ahead. It was like something like 4 hours and 35 minutes ahead or something. And the way they would flip it to the right time in their head was to look at where it was. And some of them you like tick forward a bit, and some of them you like flip them. Because it was like 6 hours off or something, or 30 minutes off or something. So this whole flip and shift thing, it was crazy. I prefer my clock stopped. Now, there is a clock ticking. Ironically, I have been hearing ticking out here ever since I brought the new batch of 12, what I called stopped clocks out here. I'm sorry, I may have... I like to only speak facts, but when I called those 12 stopped clocks, I might have been wrong. One of them may have still been running. So we will try and remove the batteries from that misbehaving clock. Now, I'm going to cook a little food on this pretty soon, just a little snack for myself for later. But first, what I do want to go through is a quick little math bit for the stream that's going to be a prequel, sort of, for tomorrow's episode, which is that I've talked about the Fibonacci sequence in a relatively recent episode, but it wasn't as centered on the Fibonacci numbers themselves. It was centered around what I called Fibonacci-esque sequences, or generalized Fibonacci sequences, where we start with two different numbers, or any two numbers we want, and then we follow the Fibonacci rule, where each new number is the sum of the last two. So typically with the Fibonacci sequence, you go 0, then 1, and some people don't list the 0 at first. Some people just call it 1, then 1, because the 0 is the 0th Fibonacci number. I like when they get that loophole in, where they're sort of like, you can start it from 1, 1, or 0, 1. If you want, either is valid. It's just you're starting with either the first and second term, or starting with the 0th and first term. Similarly, like 0 is the 0th triangular number. And so you can include it or not with your triangular numbers, depending on whether you're including just the positive triangular numbers or the ones including the 0th. Now, I didn't go too deep into the channel in the Discord. I want to go deeper into that, and maybe I'll mix some of those things in to another cool episode soon. This thing that I want to do about the Fibonacci sequence is something that's already known. Technically, the name of what we're going to go into, if anyone really wants to research it first, but I don't recommend needing to, because I'll give a good explanation of what's really going on in it. I like to not even always use the names until closer to the end of the episode. This is going to be on a title card later in the episode, because I like to just give a more intuitive sense of what's going on. You know, if you can really explain a concept, you don't even always need the name of it. So it is called a Pisano period. I'm not positive on how to pronounce that guy's name, but Pisano period. And what it is patterns that, which is why, even though I know there's cool Fibonacci chatting going on in the Discord, I will definitely look at that and look at incorporating that into future stuff. But this is already a number theory concept that I knew I was going to have to do at some point, because it's Fibonacci and is modular arithmetic. Now, modular arithmetic is the thing where we go kind of clock-like and we imagine how far are we from the latest multiple of something, or what's the remainder if we were divided by that. Like if I'm in mod 6, I'm like 7 is congruent to 1 in mod 6 because it has a remainder of 1 from the latest multiple of 6. So does 15. 15 would be 3 in mod 6. It would be 1 in mod 7. Now, in the Fibonacci sequence, we have 0, 1, 1 going onward, and we're going to look at some really cool things that do happen with the Fibonacci sequence in different mods. And if you've seen my earlier things about modular arithmetic, you'll note it also tells us about the last digit in a given base. Now, we're even going to go further in this episode. It mixes two ideas I've wanted to do for a while. One is this thing called Pisano periods, and another is an explanation of how not only can we determine patterns of the last digit in a given mod, there are ways to determine patterns for the last 2 digits, for the last 3 digits, and stuff like that in a given base. So we're going to see that the Fibonacci sequence has this cyclical thing it does, not only with its last digit, but with its last 2 digits, and with its last 3 digits, and onward. And these correspond with different mods. Now, what I wanted to go into, that's the episode coming out tomorrow that we'll see. Hopefully tomorrow, chance it'll be the next day, but I'm almost done with it. And what I want to do right now is sort of give a refresher on why is the Fibonacci sequence such an important of the Fibonacci-esque sequences. Because the last time we saw this thing, I almost buried its credit. I was sort of like, although this thing is cool, I want to show how it doesn't matter that we started with a 0 and a 1. We could start with any 2 numbers, and the growth rate of a Fibonacci-esque sequence, where each term is the sum of the last two, will approach the golden ratio over time. So that was in our golden ratio episode. But in this one, we're not even going to talk about all the other Fibonacci-esque sequences that you could make. It's just really about the Fibonacci sequence. On your own, you could think, how does this apply to Fibonacci-esque sequences? Much of it would apply that we're going to learn in the episode. But I want to take a moment to give a little credit to why the Fibonacci sequence is, I'm going to say, the most notable. Some would say tied for most notable or second most notable of the Fibonacci-esque sequences. The reason I say some would tie it or put it second is the other most popular, where you start with 2, then 1, and then those add to 3, then 4, and etc., are called the Lucas numbers. And the Lucas numbers are really cool too, and they're going to get an episode someday too. They got a little mention in the golden ratio episode. So that one's really cool too. But the Fibonacci sequence has a few reasons why it's extra fundamental. Not just the growth pattern, where each new one's the sum of the last two, but also this particular one. These particular ones that get called Fibonacci numbers. Now, obviously, at first you're like, okay, they're all being called Fibonacci numbers, but when you keep adding, it's like 4 is not a Fibonacci number, 3 is, and stuff like that. So why is the Fibonacci start so important? Well, on a simple sense, we can note that it's not just the sequence you get if you start with 0, 1. You get the whole rest of the sequence if I had started with 1, 1, like I said, or if I had started with 1, 2, or if I had started with 2, 3, and so on. And now let's think of, like, what are all the possible beginnings that you might put on a sequence like this? You don't need them to ascend, like the Lucas numbers went 2, then 1, they went down. But let's say we're going to do an ascending sequence. This is like most of the small options all lead here. 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. Any of those threads lead to this exact set of Fibonacci numbers. So for one simple reason, it's just that it's not only one of the simple Fibonacci-esque sequences, it's a lot of the other simple ones you might come up with are part of this that lead to the rest of the same thing. Now, another reason that I haven't shown before that I do want to note why this sequence extra shows up in any Fibonacci-esque sequence is, let's say I have a Fibonacci-esque sequence that starts with 0 and then some random number A. And then let's even say another one where we're like, what if I have one that starts with an A, then a B, no 0 in the mix? Well, what happens here? 0, then A. Our next term is 0 plus A is A. A plus A is 2A. A plus 2A is 3A. 2A plus 3A is 5A. 3A plus 5A is 8A. So these are the Fibonacci numbers, the coefficients, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And so if you start with 0, then any variable that you're thinking of as a quantity, the amount of that quantity will have coefficients of the Fibonacci numbers. Now, what if I had started A then B instead? 2 different variables, no 0 in the mix. Now I'm going to get A plus B. Then here we add these two, that's 2B, because we got 2 B's there, plus A. We're going to add this one to the last one, that's 3B plus 2A. Add this to the last, that would give me 5B plus 3A, then it would go to 8B plus 5A, and check it out, it's like double Fibonacci going on. Each one is like a Fibonacci number and the Fibonacci before as coefficients, and if you just look at the B's going up, it's like 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And if you look at the A's, it starts from 1 instead of 0, and we have 1, well, it's 1, 0, actually. A's are a little weird, but then we go from here, at that point, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. They're a little delayed. So we get all these Fibonacci numbers themselves, those exact 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, etc., buried in the coefficients we'd get if we write out a lot of generalized Fibonacci sequences. And these reasons And somebody also noted in the comments that 1-3 is another common start you might imagine to try. 1-3 is in the Luca number, so that leads to the rest of those. So it's true that almost any common start you could pick would lead to the Fibonacci or Luca. And if you pick 0-2 or 0-3, that actually will be like a larger version of the Fibonacci. Like if this was 0 then 3, then we would have like 3 times each Fibonacci number for these. So it'd just be the exact Fibonacci sequence inflated. So most of the combos of, let's even try right here. I'm gonna roll 2 dice, and let's pretend 6 is 0. So let's say these dice range from 0 to 5, and rolling 2 dice, so I'll grab a clock to roll them on, or have a brick, we'll roll them on right here. Let's see what we randomly get if 6 is 0, and 1 through 5 are what they normally are. And we'll say that's our first number was a 0, and our next number looks like a 5. So that would just be exactly 5 times the exact Fibonacci sequence. It would go 0, 5, 5, and then 5 times all the rest. What about this? Okay, there's a 4, and there's a 3. Okay, that's a little different, 4 then 3. That's a different generalized Fibonacci sequence. But most of the other dice rolls we could have gotten would lead me to the Fibonacci or maybe to the Luca. Now, this is why I would say the Fibonacci numbers should get some credit in addition to all of their generalized friends. Somebody noted a 0-0 start is an exception. A 0-0 start glitches it. I actually noted that in a little title card in the episode when I said that every generalized Fibonacci-esque sequence, with a few exceptions, approaches a growth rate of the golden ratio. The exceptions I noted in the title card are if you start with 0 then 0, or if you start with a ratio between the first 2 terms that is exactly the negative reciprocal of the golden ratio. We'll explain that one another time, but that one also glitches it. Now, the ratio between successive terms will otherwise approach the golden ratio, although in that 0-0 one, the ratio between terms is a divide by 0 error. And someone asked, what about complex numbers? I did say any real numbers in there, so I don't know. I will look at that thread in there that you guys have in the Combo Class Discord later. Make sure to tune in, anyone else who wants to join that discussion. And complex numbers I didn't include. I just said real numbers, so I don't know. Could be some cool stuff going on there. I'm curious. The thing is that complex numbers usually just add pretty normally, almost like little clumps of real numbers, like a 2-parted real number almost. And so it would be more interesting to put the complex numbers into a multiplicative function instead of an additive function, but I don't know, could still get cool stuff. Now, that was a little prequel. Like I said, I'm going to have, hopefully tomorrow, maybe the next day, a cool episode, maybe about 15-16 minutes, about the Fibonacci sequence on clocks, on weekdays, on evens and odds, on last digits in base 10, and things like that. Oh, and somebody in the comments noted they meant the ratio between 2 complex numbers would be, in a way, multiplicative, because you're sort of finding how much it grew multiplicatively for the ratio. That would be interesting. So then that'll be cool when we look at the ratio and what it approaches at different times. So we'll have to look into that more. Maybe you already have been on the Discord. I'll check that out more. I love the Combo Class Discord. A lot of great chatting there. I've been quite busy recently, but as it is passing the time where I am becoming 30 and getting more time to work on Combo Class, I will have more and more time to chat with our combo lords, hopefully. So feel free to play around and leave more discussions if anyone else has their own thoughts on that Discord, or the subreddit there also is. Or for really helpful people, there is the Patreon, or sometime in the next week, I'm going to set up the memberships on YouTube too, because they're giving me a bonus to do it. So I think I'm going to wrap up our stream in the near future because I don't want to bother the neighbors super late, and I planned on going for somewhere around little under an hour, which has just been about 40 minutes of a stream, but wanted to share a few thoughts, little prequel to our episode and enjoy a fire. I am going to do one more activity, which is, like I said, I was heating up my little nectarine bomb for later. Well, I got another snack I want to cook, and I do need to get a stick to skewer this one on. So let me look around for a stick, because when you're cooking something on a campfire, you need a good long sturdy stick. Oh, whoa. This is not only a long stick. It's one that I've used for this purpose in the past. The end is sharpened a bit, I can tell. I can tell that I sharpened that with a blade at some point. And what time is it here? It is about to hit 11 p.m. 1 hour till midnight, or I'm starting to think that we should have used negative numbers on the second half of the clock, and this could be called -1. So it's -1 o'clock out of the 12 hours. Now, for a little snack, I'm going to cook myself a little sausage dog. I got a little sausage and bun to eat, which I'm just going to cook while I wrap up the stream, because after the stream, fire go away. But leave any last thoughts or comments. A lot of fun stuff will be coming. I also filmed a little random bonus video with Carlo today that mentions those, a few of the things I mentioned in this and some other random things. So, okay, this stick is really bending. This stick is really iffy, but we're going with it. Now, okay, yeah, you see this stick is, oh no, okay. Maybe it'll stay like that though. Maybe that'll work. Okay. So, thank you to everybody who has joined this and who has been appreciating all the random videos. There will be a lot more fun ones coming, not just those combo class ones, but also a lot of fun random stuff I will continue to do on this channel. And I have been getting deeper into some of the writing I've been doing as well. So it is getting closer to the time I'm going to start releasing some of my fiction writing, which is, you know, math lovers will appreciate it more, but it is not purely an educational experience. It is, you know, a book or a series of books perhaps, or a web of chapters perhaps, that will contain stuff reminiscent of the facts I share, but that's not its purpose. Similar with the music I'll be releasing on this channel. While it will be enjoyed more by people who like my weird math and science facts, it is not a purely educational purpose. There are other little things I want to achieve with those. Those I will announce when they come out on this channel in random parts. And that is most of what I wanted to share in today's stream. But I love you all so much. By the time this posts as an HD video, and it takes a while for YouTube to load the HD in the chat, we might be at 150,000 by then, or if not, we're going to be really close. It'll be, at the rate it's going, within a few days, this channel will be past 150,000 subscribers, because it's at 149 right now, and some change. And that is wild and awesome. So we're going to continue this combo journey. Now I'm wrapping up some family birthday events and stuff and getting back to more regular schedule. And also planning some rare stuff that I will not spoil here yet. Now this dog's getting quite nice and roasty. I'm going to lightly try and warm up the bun a little bit just from afar. Like I said, don't copy any of the stuff I do with fire. Please don't. You know, it'll be... I do this so you don't have to. You can just, you just need to see somebody do it. You don't need to always do it yourself. Just trying to warm up the bun a little bit. Can't put the bun on a stick as easily. So, leave any last thoughts. I'm going to log off before I'm going to make you, like, watch me eat this dog. And maybe we'll unwrap the nectarine Yeah, how am I going to unwrap that? The thing is going to be scorching hot. So, yeah, I'm not sure how easily I'll be able to unwrap the nectarine. We're going to go with that hopefully being a toasted enough dog there. And as for this nectarine, this one will be harder to unwrap, but we can do it. Whoa, steam's coming out. So, here is the... Oh my god, it smells good. I swear, when you do this with a nectarine, it is so good. So here, oh my god, that smells unbelievably good. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna eat this with a fork and knife. You just take a fork and knife and eat around the pit, and it's like this little balm of pie. So, now, thank you to everybody who has joined me for this one. This is where we're going to log off, and I'll put out the fire on my own after giving it, a couple longful gazes of my own. I'll see you all in another one soon. I love you so much, and you're all my awesome combo lords.